Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light is facing a total disaster predicted by Anson Frericks, former president of Anheuser-Busch's distribution. That includes Bud Light. It includes all of their brands. He knows their business. He knows their industry, and he's been giving interviews one day after another in one publication and in another outlet, and then in another publication, talking about how bad things are about to get for the Bud Light brand. He's predicting sales to continue to plunge, potential for massive layoffs, and a permanent damage to their brand, losing shelf space and sales on an ongoing basis. He's asked for the CEO of Anheuser-Busch to step down so they could get a new CEO in his job so he can do the job right. But of course, there's no response from Anheuser-Busch. This is about the worst look for Bud Light yet. No one expects good things to be happening. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, so if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Coming from Newsweek, Bud Light sales may drop even more, per Anson Frericks, former Anheuser-Busch executive in charge of distribution. He understands their business. As Bud Light has seen continued decline in sales amid its widespread boycott, a former Anheuser-Busch executive warned that sales could get even worse over the coming months. Quote, "I think there's going to be some permanent damage to this brand." Anson Frericks, the former president of operations for Anheuser-Busch, told Newsweek just on Wednesday. "Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a long way to go to get back the market share they lost and a lot of headwind in front of them. I project that sales are not going to improve and potentially could get worse." Since the beginning of April, Bud Light and its parent company, Anheuser-Busch, have continued to face criticism and a boycott following the partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. Since the boycott began, Bud Light has seen its sales continue to decline over the past several weeks. Earlier this month, Newsweek obtained Nielsen IQ data from Bump Williams Consulting, which showed a 28% decrease in Bud Light's revenue, and their volume drop was 31.2% for the week ending July 1st when compared to the same period in 2022. For the week ending on June 24th, additional Nielsen IQ data from Bump Williams Consult showed Bud Light revenue down 27.9% compared to the same period a year prior. The data just does not lie. The numbers are terrible for Bud Light. However, denying reality, a spokesperson for Anheuser-Busch told Newsweek that year-to-date, Bud Light remains the number one brand in the industry at 8.7% share. That is correct. For the last 2 months, they lost the number one position to Modelo Especial, their competitor. And as the months continue, of course, their position continues to get worse and worse. And Bump Williams predicts, and I predict as well, it's very likely they're going to lose the number one position for the year. They know very well that they had a couple of strong months in the beginning of the year, and then came the Dylan Mulvaney promotion, which destroyed the brand. Anheuser-Busch also said the Anheuser-Busch portfolio continues to be the leader of the category as the number one brewer at 35.6% share in the latest week, the spokesperson added. Yeah, that's true, but the beers are getting completely beaten up, and it's not just Bud Light. Their other brands are getting severely damaged as well, losing all their momentum. While speaking with Newsweek, Frericks explained that a decline in sales for Bud Light could also result in a loss of shelf space at a number of retailers. He's been warning about that since the beginning of June. In addition to Bud Light, some other Anheuser-Busch beers, such as Michelob Ultra and Busch Light, have also seen a decline in sales, he said. Quote, "You're going to have some more permanent damage, it seems like, where the contagion is spreading from Bud Light to their other brands. And that means not only Bud Light, but a lot of the other brands in their portfolio are also going to be losing shelf space. It's not like the shelf space is going to go to some of their other brands," Frericks told Newsweek. "The whole portfolio is down." The whole portfolio meaning all of their brands are down. It shrinks their entire business. Quote, "They never really addressed this completely," he said. "I've been relatively critical of that response where I feel that early on there should have been a clear response. Mulvaney also recently criticized Bud Light's response to the ongoing boycott, and in his statement, a spokesman for Anheuser-Busch told Newsweek, quote, "As we've said, we remain committed to programs and partnerships we forged over decades with organizations across a number of communities, including those in the LGBT community. What good is that doing to anyone? It's not doing any good for the business. It's not doing any good for their customers, for the distributors who are losing business and a tremendous amount of money." Anson Frericks is also warning of layoffs as a result of the sales struggle. And it's not like he's trying to scare anyone. There have already been severe layoffs as a result of this. 2 glass bottling plants were closed because of the lack of demand for Bud Light, which is really kind of strange because it's very expensive to shut down a manufacturing facility. 2 manufacturing facilities were shut down, one in North Carolina and another in Louisiana. Between the 2 of them, 645 union jobs that used to supply bottles for Bud Light. No more. The manufacturer closed the plants down because they weren't getting any business. So the warning about there being layoffs is really no joke. Anheuser-Busch employs 18,000 people. The distributors for Anheuser-Busch employ 47,000 people. And there have been people complaining about not making the money they need to make in the distribution side of the business because no one's buying the beer. Of course, the salesman can't make commissions if people really aren't buying anywhere near the beer they used to buy. From Newsweek, former Anheuser-Busch executive warns of layoffs as Bud Light sales struggle. Anson Frericks, the former president of operations for Anheuser-Busch, recently spoke with Fox Business Network, The Claiming Countdown, and said that Anheuser-Busch's CEO, Brendan Whitworth, should have responded differently to the ongoing controversy. Frericks said that Whitworth should have responded by saying, quote, "We wouldn't do this again because we lost billions of dollars in market capitalization, the value of their stock. Our brands are down almost 30%, and all of a sudden we're putting a lot of our suppliers at risk, and they're laying off hundreds of people from jobs at some of their suppliers. That's going on at this very second. We don't even know how many layoffs there are. It's only what sneaks out into the news. Well, there's going to be more employees at risk if we don't find a CEO who can somehow address the situation, get those customers back that were always loyal to Bud Light, and move this company forward," Frericks said. Anson Frericks also commented in this Newsweek article about why the Bud Light boycott was so devastating to sales. Quote, "Anheuser-Busch did not understand their customer base and kind of also where their customer base is in terms of what messaging they want to see from Bud Light." Frericks went on to explain to Newsweek that the reason the current boycott of Bud Light has been so successful is mainly to 2 reasons. Boycotts typically work when there are 1, easily accessible products similar to another company. So beer is one of the more monetized products out there. The only thing that differentiates Bud Light, Coors Light, and Miller Lite is the brand. Frericks told Newsweek, "Everywhere you have Bud Light, you also have Miller Lite and Coors Light. It's incredibly easy for consumers to switch. There's no real switching cost that's out there. So if you don't like Bud Light, you can easily pick up Miller Lite or pick up Coors Light or something else." When comparing the Bud Light boycott to other boycotts, Frericks explained that one example is when people called for boycotts of the NFL, when players kneel during the national anthem. However, unlike beer, there's no other alternative to the NFL if you like football. Secondarily, consumers feel that they will keep the boycott going when they feel like they're having an impact. So every single week, this news cycle continues to kick off where you're seeing the effects of this boycott, with sales being down 25%, 28%, 30% every single week. So therefore, it gives consumers the ability to say like, wow, I'm really having an effect. Frericks also told Newsweek that he was not surprised by the decline in sales amid the ongoing boycott. Quote, "I'm not surprised because I think that people have just made a choice that they're not going to buy Bud Light regardless of what the price is," Frericks told Newsweek. Bud Light now just becomes the whole topic of the party and becomes a political statement if you have Bud Light that a lot of people just don't want to engage with when you're just trying to have a nice time out. So that's why Anson Frericks is predicting disaster for the Bud Light brand. Things will just continue to get worse and worse because the brand is reassociated as a Dylan Mulvaney transgender beer brand because of how Bud Light handled their promotion and because of how they handled the negative response to their promotion. People are not interested in standing up for Dylan Mulvaney being associated with that. That's not why they go and consume a product. People are consuming a product, like Anson Frericks said, just to relax and have a good time. They've made Bud Light political. That ruined the brand. Sales look like they're going to continue to plunge. There's nothing to turn them around. And the main problem they have is that as the sales have gone down, and Frericks has been warning about this since the beginning of June, retailers like Costco just did start to reevaluate, do they want to even carry this beer? And if they're going to carry it, how much should they really carry if it's not really selling very well? They lose the opportunity to sell the beer because it's not going to be stocked in those stores. Stores can only afford to stock what they're going to sell. And then from that come additional massive layoffs. We only heard about the layoffs in the glass plant because a local media source went and did actual journalism and did investigation to try to find out, why are these two glass plants closing? The glass plants didn't make the announcement. It was because of local media going and investigating and figuring out, wow, this has to do with the Bud Light controversy. And then they told us there's a lot going on I'm sure we're never going to hear about, but we will continue to see the Bud Light brand fall apart. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Really appreciate you guys. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.